KRRB DB, Grand Saline, Canton, Mineola, Texas.
It's Election Day in the United States. It's the midterms 2022 and millions go to the polls. More than 40 million pre-election ballots have been cast in 47 states. Pre-election voting has been ahead of the 2018 pace across the states, where data is available for the last 3 cycles.
And welcome to the very first ever live election coverage from KRRB Radio in beautiful East Texas. My name is J.D. Williams, and as always, from the very liberal Dallas and Fort Worth area, I want to welcome in my co-host, Mr. TL Terry Farley. How you doing tonight, Terry?
Doing all right. Now, on that liberal thing, some of us vote differently, but I'm going to leave that one alone.
Okay, well, I'll let you take that up with your neighbors, okay? Because
that's right.
I know you got one out there anyway that voted for Beto. But anyway, now yeah. I want people to understand something that when. You look on the big TV stations and all that, they got all these streamers, and they got all these experts, and they got all these maps and all that kind of stuff. Well, look, I've got all their same information, but we don't have all that complicated stuff, okay? We just don't have it. So you're going to have to kind of rely on what we're telling you, and we will try to bring you a Christian perspective to that, because this is the last Christian radio show, even though tonight, of course, is going to be extremely political. Also, for some of you that are listening to us or used to listening to us on other services, there's like 3 or 4, I believe, out of all of them that only carry 30 minutes of our show. So because of that, we recorded them a very special edition earlier today that they will hear at 7:30 to 8 o'clock. If you guys want to listen into that, I don't know how you can tape it, look back at it later or something else, but if you want to hear that, that's a true Rapture Alert presentation that we did earlier today. But we're going to get into the political, and I'm just going to start off. Terry, I told you right before we got started that here there are 3,000 people in our town, and there was just right at 900 people had voted by around, I think it was 5:30. So you're looking at about a third of this city in a deep red county that turned out. So also, you guys are going to see me looking over here quite a bit, because I've got a lot of resources open from a lot of different agencies that I'm going to be grabbing information from. And so I'm going to need to look at that and refer to it from time to time. You're also going to see the youngest member of the KRRB family tonight. This is a family-run company. And the youngest member is actually going to be running one of the radio shows. So you're going to see him pass behind me. You're going to see him pass behind me, and he said he's going to wave at everybody on his way out again. But he's got about a 30-minute assignment tonight that he's going to be taking care of. I'm going to, Terry, turn to you from time to time, just kind of let you fill in different things here as I look at different resources. I can tell you that the Democrats took an early lead. That's not anything that's unexpected in any way, because what that is, that's the mail-in votes, and those that's really easier for them to count. Also, Terry, before we really start getting into votes, and I'll give y'all some updates here in just a minute, but before we get into that, you had mentioned to me earlier today, and even on our pre-recorded show, about some election machine issues, and I've got an update for you on that.
Yeah.
So you want to go ahead and mention that, please?
Well, actually, I was when I found out you've got an update on it. I'm ready to listen to your update. I felt good. Well, I felt real good because we talked about it, and I said, from my sources, which is this guy down the street that has 2 dogs. No, but anyway, I emphasized it was not confirmed.
Right.
So I'm looking forward to what you're going to be telling us this update.
Yeah, well, you were talking about Arizona, right?
Arizona, and also there was another state. Now, I did hear another state mentioned tonight, which the one I heard was different. But anyway, I'm like I said, you've got me on pins and needles because I want to see if I hit the target or not.
20% of the machines in Arizona malfunction. This was not. It doesn't look like it was anything malicious or anything like that. But what is happening is that they're putting the ballots into the machine, into the tabulation machine, and they're not tabulating. They're popping it right back out. Okay, so what they were trying to do is they thought they could have it fixed. I do not have an update yet. But anyway, it's not that these votes are not being counted. They're being held back right now until the tabulation machines are repaired or they're feeding them into machines that are working properly. So that's the update that I have for you from there.
Well, I've got one update from you from Fox News.
Okay.
And Brett, what's his name? And but anyway, he said that they actually have a fleet of lawyers out there in Arizona trying to lobbying or whatever the word you use to get them to allow that particular county to actually stay open a little bit later.
Yes, that was confirmed.
On their voting.
Yeah, that is confirmed. That is confirmed. We can now project that Ron DeSantis has been reelected as the governor of the state of Florida. And he will be giving his victory speech here in just a few minutes. But it looks like that he has sailed through, as has Senator Marco Rubio. Can also project that he has won re-election as the senator from the state of Florida. This may come as a surprise to a lot of people, and I do not have any updates yet. I'm still waiting on it. Well, actually, I do, but I'm just waiting on a secondary source. I talked to Terry about this earlier today. I don't do anything unless I got 2 good sources. So far, I've only got 1, but it looks like that Florida's Dade County, which is the most Democratic county in Florida, has gone red. It is a first, and this is what has made it so easy for Ron DeSantis and Marco Rubio to win their elections. So it's pretty significant coming out of Florida. Go ahead.
And I can confirm that with what little I have, because I heard them talking about that on Fox News again just a few minutes ago. That's why I was late. I know nobody's surprised, but I came in late as usual. But anyway, with the wind at my back. Anyway, so there we are.
Well, Fox News is one of my sources, as is CNN, as is MSNBC, as is Politico, as is NBC, CBS, ABC, you name it. They're all over here, and that's the reason why I'm so busy and keep looking over here, because I'm still trying to get all these things put together, and it is it's going to be an issue as we go through the night. I can tell you now, Terry. Anyway, the early polling, as I was talking about before, they do the mail-in votes and all that stuff. That comes in first, and that is heavy Democratic. That is where the base of the Democratic Party is in those mail-in votes. And
There's a joke in there somewhere.
Well, I mean, if mail-in votes were credible, and don't get me wrong. I understand some people need to vote by mail. I understand that, but if there was a little bit more security involved in this, I would feel a lot better about it. I really think I think the best system is same day vote in person. I really do. I think when I was a precinct chairman and I was sitting there at the polls and doing this, we would actually have some handicapped people, elderly people that couldn't vote, couldn't walk their way up the steps of the school where we were doing things.
Sure.
And they would pull up in front of the polling place, right in front of the school, and honk their horn. Mm-hmm. And one of us would walk out there and hand them a ballot, okay, and let them vote. And we had no issues with that. And I think really that's really the way to go. I'm not a fan of all this early vote thing. And I think in the past there's been some people that wish they hadn't voted early. Maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah,
that's just my personal.
No, I think you're right there. Also, that's an excellent point.
Yeah. Now, also, I meant to do this right off the top, but I'm going to do it now. This is a very, very important election. The Democrat Party has been pushing over the last week or so. This election will determine the fate of our democracy, and I agree with that. I agree with that 100%. If you vote for a Democrat, for a Democrat, chances are you're not going to have another election. And I don't say that. I don't say that as a joke. I say that because the socialists have taken over the Democratic Party. And what they intend to do, and they make no secret of it, what they intend to do is to expand the Supreme Court of the United States from 9 to 12, tilting the balance of the Supreme Court in a Democratic and liberal favor. They intend to get rid of the filibuster in the Senate, meaning that no longer would it take 60 votes to pass some of the biggest legislation that ever faces the Senate, but only 51 or 50 if the Democrat was in the presidency and the Democrats held 50 seats, then the vice president is able to cast the 51st and decisive vote. So yes, democracy is on the ballot, and anybody that wants to protect it, they need to consider that. Again, I'm not endorsing either way, not Democrat, not Republican. I'm not doing that. I'm just telling you the truth. That's what they intend to do. They make no secret of it. If you don't believe it, look it up. Okay. I believe I got a confirmation on McMaster winning, and I was looking away. So, Terry, I'm going to give it to you for a couple of minutes, and the way I'm going to do this while I'm checking some stuff is I wanted to start this with a prayer for this country, and that the country. I'm not interested in Democrat or Republican, Independent. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in a prayer for the United States of America to vote to bring God back into this country. And I'll be back in just a minute. I'm gonna hand it over to you for a minute.
Amen. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, let's those of us that believe, let's go to the Lord in prayer. And if you don't, we'll certainly appreciate your listening to us as we pray. And we certainly encourage you to call on Jesus. He's real, more real than anything that's going on tonight, or has been in the past, or ever will be in the future. So let's go ahead and join the Lord in prayer. Lord Jesus, we thank you for this privilege and this opportunity to come to you tonight. Lord, we pray for these votings and all of this that's going on across the country tonight. We pray for the people that are reporting it in all of the various news agencies. We pray for everyone that's involved, the people that are running. Certainly, Lord, some will win and some will lose, and we pray comfort, Lord, for those who lose. And Lord, we pray for encouragement and strengthening to all those who win, Lord, to have a clear mind as they enter into these next couple years. America's in a difficult place right now. It's in a very difficult strait. And Lord, they need all of the wisdom and the guidance that you can give them in this. Lord, Jesus had said to those who believe in him to occupy until he comes back. And so in other words, he wants us to be responsible and to be involved in our daily lives with our families, Lord, with our cities, our countries, with all of it, Lord, to be playing our part, whatever that part is, that we will, Lord, fulfill it as you desire. And we just thank you for this privilege and this opportunity. In Jesus' name, amen. Welcome back there, Joel.
Amen, Terry. All right, well, I'm just... I'm looking here at some of the information that's coming in through various news services that are announcing that Blake Masters, this is what I almost misreported, Blake Masters and Kerry Lake, as well as the Republican National Committee, they're suing Maricopa County in Arizona over issues with the voting tabulation machines, and the lawsuit is seeking to keep those polls in Maricopa open until 10 p.m. Mountain Time. So it looks like Arizona, Arizona was one of those that had the mystery boxes show up in 2020.
Yes.
Yeah, and, I've got no real problem with boxes showing up late. I really don't, because I used to drive from where I live to the county office, and you might get hung up in traffic. You might, anything could happen. But what I have a problem with is when you open up a box and it's 100% for one candidate, because I have never. I'm sorry, that's just impossible. You can't tell me that 100% of the people in any precinct are going to vote for the same candidate. That's just not happening. And it happened frequently in 2020. And that's, people go about this election denier. Well, no, I'm not an election denier, but I do question the honesty and the integrity of certain individuals in certain precincts in certain states. And Arizona is one of them. So another one is Pennsylvania. And of course, we're already running into issues there as well. So most of these at the moment, Terry, are too close to call. Can you, do you remember the first time you ever voted? Do you have any kind of story on that? What your first election was that you remember?
First time? No, I actually don't.
I remember mine. Let's see. Yeah, it was 1976.
Okay, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
When did they change the voting age?
Oh goodness, it was in the early, either very late 60s or very early 70s, and that's about as close as I can get. And the reason, and I'm sure you know this already, but the reason for that was because of the Vietnam War. If you're old enough to go to war, then you're old enough to vote. So it was somewhere in that 60s, early 70s time frame. Sure. Because I think we actually sent troops to. That was the beginning of it in early '68. Because I was in basic training in '67, and I almost went to Nam, long story short, and so I'm a little bit more, in certain areas of history, I'm a little more aware. So I do remember that. I do remember in '68 being in Ireland acting, so I'm sure there was a way to get
a vote back over, mail a vote or whatever, but I didn't. I was too involved in theater at the time, to acting. So my first voting, I would say, was in '72 when I was in New York City.
McGovern Nixon.
That would be my first.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I voted for Nixon, and I'm not sorry for that because of McGovern's stance. And I don't want to I'm not going to go into politics.
Well, that's what we're here for, is politics. But the thing is that I think it was a smart vote, and if I remember right, it was pretty much a wipeout. Mine was 1976, and that was Carter Ford, and that's coming off of the Nixon thing. That was pretty much a lay down. I think. I don't know. I think the Democrats had it was theirs to lose. I'll put it that way. Based on all that stuff that happened back then. Yeah. So again, we're still waiting on some really good results to come in. In Georgia right now, Warnock is up on Walker by about 10%. But again, that is the early vote. That is now there's some real votes coming in now, and by real votes I mean people that actually voted today. But there's still we've got some catch-up time going. We do have another poll. The polls are closing in another area here in just over 8 minutes. So it's still moving on. And of course here in Texas, things have already closed down. So I'm going to be continually, as I said, looking over here, checking different things, and then I will give you guys what I got when I got it. And I'm relying on, I'm not just going with one source. That's too easy. And if I relied on if I relied on MSNBC, I would probably be wrong 99.9% of the time. So I'll wait on a more credible source to give me something than them. Let's see here. I was trying to see, the other day, I believe it was Saturday, I made some projections. And to show you that I'm a man of my word, I promised everybody I was going to bring this up again, and I will. I don't know that I'm going to do it after this. So if you come in later, you'll have to believe
you may miss it.
Yeah, but anyway, in the Senate, I am on the record as saying that the Republicans will pick up 54 seats to the Democrats' 46. And let me see. I've got the House here somewhere. It's just taking me a moment to find it. I've got so much stuff here. It's unbelievable. So
I'm surprised.
You have to bear with me while I dig through all this and find it again.
You didn't hear that dig.
Well, one thing that I guess I should say this, and by the way, I did find the House. I've got 228 I called for the Republicans, 174 for the Democrats, and 33 that I said I couldn't call. Still can't. But one thing that I should have said at the onset here tonight is that we need to look at the balance of power. And right now in the Senate, if you were to look at the Senate, it has 50 Democrat senators and 50 Republican senators, and that counts the rhinos. Okay, so you got 50-50, which means that if everybody votes party, that then the Vice President of the United States gets to come in and cast the deciding vote on every issue. That's Kamala Harris. So, that gives them their 51-50. But what does it take for the Republicans to take control? One seat. They've got to add one seat. They've got to hold what they got and win one more, and they have the majority. Okay? So that is something that everybody needs to watch very, very carefully, because I think there's going to be a couple of surprises tonight. I also think that you may want to start watching the state of New York very carefully. And I mentioned this.
Oh, man.
I mentioned this on Saturday, and I know I got some personal emails, people that laughed at me. And
tell him I waved back.
Anyway, I'll just set that over there. Okay. I'm just having to give him some direction here. Set it over there somewhere. Out of the way. There you go. Okay. Now I forgot what I was talking about, Terry. I got it going on here. I got going on here with him.
New York.
Yeah, okay. On Saturday I said watch it. Okay? And I'm saying watch it carefully because it's been a long time since they had a Republican governor. That's all I'm going to say for right now. It's been a long time since New York had a Republican governor. You might want to pay attention to what's going on in New York. And you remember what to do, right? Okay, for those of you in the radio audience, I am directing a 9-year-old how to run some stuff on another radio station and a couple of platforms. So anyway, Terry, watch New York. What do you think about that? What do you think about all this Republican? You think that we're going to have a red wave tonight?
Oh, I would love to see a red tsunami, and I'll take a red wave, and but the world, America needs to wake up, and I'm not talking about being woke either. I'm talking about waking up.
You know, this woke thing. I want to address that for a minute because there is a difference between woke and awake. Now, here's the deal. When you wake up in the morning, okay, you're awake. You're awoken, right? You're woke. You're woke. Yeah. Okay. Can you think of another time during the day that you are less aware of what in the heck is going on around you than when you just woke up? It takes a minute to realize that you're even in your own room. So, I think that these people that woke, I think that they're still trying to figure out what room they're in. I don't think they're sure not awake. So there is a huge difference between woke and awake, in my opinion. What's yours? Yeah.
No, I think it's all garbage. If I can cut to the chase, it's absurd. These people, they talk about trying to take back America, and then they admit that they don't really want America. They want socialism. Right. And I've got a question for these people. If you really love socialism, why don't you move to Venezuela or Cuba, or why don't you move to Russia or China? Yeah. There's a good place. Yeah.
Well, we couldn't even get them to move to Canada. We couldn't even get them to move to Canada during the. Remember back in 2016, they said they were all going to move to Canada or somewhere else. Well, nobody left.
Oh, they didn't. They didn't go anywhere. Yeah. And another thing is China. What is it that China wants to take America and all of its riches because they have blown it? That government has blown it, and they can't get across the street without a tank or something. I mean, these people are. Don't get me started on that. And by the way, my heart goes out to there are literally hundreds of millions of Christians in China, and they're in the underground, and they would love an opportunity to be here and to talk about Jesus and to agree that this communist thing is a joke. But again, it's a fulfillment of prophecy, so don't get me started there.
It is. But anyway. Well, we're not going to get too much into prophecy tonight, but this is the last Christian radio show. For those of you that were expecting something a little bit different, it's just that we believe that it is our responsibility to also pay attention to what's going on. God didn't put us on this earth just to wander around and stick our head in the sand and just let things happen. He does allow us to make decisions, And one decision that this country made in the early 60s was to take God out of school. How has that worked out for us? You know?
Oh, terrible.
You know, it's time that this country awakens and gets woke up real good and stays awake and understands that it's time to turn back some of these bad policies. So again, I am still watching things. Connecticut, Blumenthal is struggling, you know, and he's been around a long time. He is struggling tonight. Now, you know, I'm not saying he's going to lose. As a matter of fact, I don't think he will. But he's seeing numbers that he hasn't seen in any of his past elections, and I'm sure that he is wondering to himself, oh boy, maybe I shouldn't have been so pro-Biden. Speaking of which, Mr. Biden is, you know, he's kind of avoiding everything. Okay, in Arkansas, Boozman just won. I'll have to get some information on that, but I got to double check on it. But anyway, we'll see. I am still waiting on some really good results. I mean, I've got stuff I could be telling you right now. You know, this station calls this and this station calls that. But the thing is that I'm not getting two of them to say the same thing at the same time. And until they do, you know, until the AP says something firm, and you know, some of these other stations say something firm, I'm just not gonna. I'm not gonna play that at all. You know. So, Terry, I'm going to give it to you here for just a second. I got to do something with Evangelism Radio, so go ahead.
All right. Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I sure hope you're enjoying this lightning speed broadcast. I know some of you have even fastened your seatbelts and put on your caps to keep your hair from blowing away. But anyway, here we are, and we're counting the votes.
All right, hang on now, Terry. Oh, come on. You were an actor for years. You can do better improv than that. Come on.
Yeah, but the problem is this isn't make believe.
No, this is the real deal. This is the real deal.
This is it, man. Yeah, that's right.
So anyway, what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to cross-reference a lot of these different sources just to make sure that I get some good information. You know, the one thing that I hate more than anything is for a news agency to call a race and then come back 15 minutes later and tell me something different. I want to...
You mean like in 2020?
2020, 2016,
you go to bed?
20.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, it wasn't just one. It wasn't just one.
Yeah. 20. Yeah, but 2020 was the big one.
Well, it was.
Let's be honest.
Okay, it was for you. It was for you, and it was for a lot of other people. But believe it or not,
it was for you too.
Well,
it was for America.
Well,
let me ask you something. How much are you paying for gas right now?
Well,
you know?
It's got nothing to do with it.
And I can go on, you know.
Okay, but that's got nothing to do with it. Wait. We're getting into issues. Stay away from issues. You said something about the 2020 election. Okay.
Yeah.
Look, you and a lot of people, you included me, leave me out.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm not an election denier. I'm not. Okay, I accept the results of the 2020 election. God puts people in office. I assume that God wanted...
I didn't say that didn't happen.
I
didn't say that didn't happen.
I'm not an election denier. I'm not. Okay? Now, the Democrats are saying that, you know, we shouldn't deny elections, except 2022.
They deny them. They deny them all the time. You can't trust a Democrat to cross the street.
Okay, now you're getting too political. Calm down now. Calm down. This has got to be a little bit more. I don't want to.
Circumspect. A little more circumspect. Listen, I have to. I told you that I haven't really been that deeply involved in politics,
right.
and what I'm talking about is I'm an American, and this is the way Americans talk, and it's being scissored and cut up as we go forward to where we're not going to be able to say Joe Blow on in public. Forget about whether
Right.
it's recorded or not.
Right.
You know, I
agree.
mean, that's where we're headed. That's where we're headed. And so I'm just enjoying the what little air I've got left. You know.
All right, finally got one for you.
All right, I'm listening.
I think you'll like this one. Sarah Huckabee Sanders has just won the governor's race in the state of Arkansas. So she will be the next.
Oh, that's wonderful.
She will be the next next governor in Arkansas. I can also update you once again on Florida, Miami-Dade County.
Mm-hmm.
It has indeed gone from deep blue to red, red, red. So that's a first. And, you know, this, the reason there is that the Hispanic population, and I'm not really sure about the African-American community there, but I know that the Hispanic Cuban-American population is very, very strong there. And they don't like this open borders thing. They don't like this open borders thing at all. So,
I wonder why.
Yeah. So the Democrats flipped. You know, they decided that they were going to open their borders, and they were just thinking that the Hispanic community, the Latin American community, the Cuban American community were just going to go along for the ride, and they said, nope, we're going to go the other way. So.
Praise the Lord.
They have gone and
well done, gentlemen.
Flipped it. Yes. Okay. Still trying to get some more updates here. Herschel Walker is still trailing, but that is beginning to close as I expected that it would in Georgia. Good. It's going to be a long time before before we know anything on that for sure. So he's basically 8 points down right now, 7 to 8 points down. So I think pretty well close that one pretty quick. Ohio still has Ryan in the lead, Vance falling in there, but again, all this stuff is still way early, Terry. And the thing is that it is still the early vote, the mail-in vote. All that's what comes in first. Well, that's 75% Democrat. Okay, I mean that's just the way that you look at it. It's about 75% Democrat. So the Republicans and Independents tend to vote more on election day. So those are the votes that are just now being cast, just now being counted, and it takes time to get there. So while some of these people may have a lead right now. It's going to really what it comes down to is how big of a lead. You know, how much of a cushion have they built up? And honestly, it ain't much. There is not a huge cushion anywhere out there right now. So we're just going to have to give this just a few more minutes to figure out exactly what's going on. So do you have anything else? Are you seeing anything on your end that you'd like to put in there?
The only thing I can see is me and you.
Okay.
I don't have any. I can see me twice, and once would be enough. But but anyway, no, I'm not. I'm listening. I'm following along.
Okay. Well, I can tell you that the biggest issue in this election by far has been the economy and inflation. That is the biggest issue, and the biggest issue that the Democrats Party chose to promote, even in the final days, was abortion. Yeah. That was it. That's what they put their money on, and it is. It really is sad, and I don't know. I just don't get it. I don't get it. They just don't. They seem completely out of touch, and I guess it is because they really are completely out of touch.
Believe me.
Yeah. I'm seeing some movement in Virginia, which seems to indicate to me that we may see some big news coming ahead here in maybe within the next hour. There's a couple of different Virginia races there that could really signal a big, instead of a red wave, you might go to a tidal wave, or you might go to a tsunami. If some of these go, it's just too early. It's too early for me to be able to. It's too early for me to be able to say that with any, absolute certainty. I was looking at some of these polls from earlier, and even some of the Democratic polls, some of that sway Democrat, in their final polls, which came out yesterday, all of a sudden everything started turning red. It had been blue for weeks and even months, and then last night for final polls, I guess to keep the embarrassment down. I mean, the first stuff that I'm pulling up here, you don't see any blue. You see you see red and you see gray, but you don't see any blue. Okay, and now I'm not saying there's not blue on here. There is, but oh boy, I mean, if some of this goes the way that even these Democratic pollsters have been talking about, you're talking tidal wave or tsunami, whatever you want to call it. I mean, isn't tidal wave and tsunami the same thing? So,
well, no, a tsunami creates tidal waves.
Okay.
So the tidal wave comes out of the tsunami. So
okay, I stand corrected.
And if there's a tsunami, you not only have one tidal wave, you may have a whole bunch of tidal waves.
Yeah.
But anyway.
It's really hard for me to put all the. I mean, I've got different stuff going on here, and one will run and say, "Okay, what did he just do? Or what did they just say?" And so anyway.
I was watching those guys on. Fox, and that one guy's got that map, and he can touch it, and it's all these different things happening.
I wish I had that.
And it was fun because like he'd sit there and he'd say, well, now such and such, and he'd touch the thing, and all these numbers would come up, and he'd go, oh, I didn't know about that. And it just, but that's where we are.
Yeah, well, that's the fun thing about elections is that everybody can make predictions and projections and all that, but then the people vote, and it could be a completely different thing than what you were thinking.
That's right.
The one thing that I'm happy about, at least, I'm not really seeing any kind of shenanigans being played. Outside of that, and I'm not even going to blame that Arizona voting machine thing. I mean, I know the Republican Party's already sued over it and all that, but I'm not going to. I mean, that could be anything. It really could. So until I have more information, I'm gonna withhold judgment.
Yeah,
I'm gonna withhold judgment.
But you've got to remember. Let me throw this in. There comes a point where as we acquiesce to the times and to the tides and the seasons and so forth, things are getting a whole lot worse. People said they were going to get worse when the Democrats came in, and they had no idea how bad it was going to get. We're so far in debt now that we're never going to get out. It's trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars, and and if you've ever heard anybody describe what $1 trillion is, it goes all the way out into space, past Mars. I mean, it's
Well, there's no big surprise. No big surprise here. But Governor Pritzker has won a second term in Illinois, the Democrat there. Again, that's no big surprise, but that's being projected by most news services now, so I can confirm that one for you.
Well, it makes me ashamed to admit that I'm from Illinois.
I was going to say that. I was going to remind you that you were from Illinois. Maybe if you and a few of your friends hadn't abandoned ship, maybe Illinois wouldn't have gone down the toilet. What do you think?
I'm trying to listen. It's been so long since I left there that I just, that old license plate. It says I'm not from Texas, but I got here just as soon as I could, and because it's, but I've got a lot of good friends and good people up in Illinois, and I love them deeply, and I have no idea why in the world, even the Democrats, I knew good Democrats when I was growing up.
Yeah.
So, it's just times change, I guess. I don't know.
Well, we're still waiting to see what's going to happen with the balance of power here, and it's really it's still way up in the air because we're not deep enough into the evening yet to come up with it. Here in Texas, Governor Abbott has a good lead, but he has not yet put Beto away yet. And if you guys were wondering why I call him Bozo, because that's exactly what I think of him. I'm sorry. That's one race that I will be very partisan on, because this guy he's convicted of a DWI. He has committed crimes. He shouldn't even be allowed on the ballot. His name isn't even Beto. It's Robert.
Yeah.
He tries to pretend to be a Hispanic in hopes that the Hispanic community would be silly enough to vote for him. He looks like Robert Kennedy, and let me tell you, I'm not going to cast any. I'm not going to say anything here except for the fact that Robert Kennedy himself happened to be in Texas before this gentleman was born. And he sure looks a lot like him, and we know the Kennedy family, what they were about, right? So, anyway, I'll leave it there, but I'll someday, humor me on this. Someday, take a picture of Robert F. Kennedy, put it on one side, put a picture of Beto O'Rourke on the other side, look at them, and then you'll see why I said what I just said. Okay, that's all I got to say on that, and we'll move on.
Now what you've done is the Democrats have taken notes, and so the next time he runs, it'll be, I don't know, in 2 years or whatever, he'll run again, and when he does this time, he'll be telling the Hispanics that he loves tomatoes. Okay, that's what Robert Kennedy did out in Los Angeles before he got shot. I'm not trying to make fun of that, but
just to on a side note, I loved Robert F. Kennedy. I loved him.
Did you?
Yes, I loved him. I was devastated when he was assassinated. So anyway, that's 1968.
I loved Jack, but come to find out there was a whole lot of. Never mind, I'm not going to say it.
All right, okay, we're getting way off the political beat here, so let's get back to it.
These young people need to know what old people talk like. So.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, we do have more polls closing here in just a few minutes, which is going to be into the mountain zone. I'm really surprised we haven't finished off Texas yet, but we haven't. So I'm trying to watch that and work with that as best as I can. It's just there's. Slow voting is the best thing I can tell, or I shouldn't say slow voting, slow counting is what's really hitting. And, I'm really not all that upset about it, because I would rather that they be counting than say, well, we're going to put a halt to it until tomorrow, and, we're going to let the truck roll and all that kind of stuff.
That could come. Could come.
Yeah. Well, I'm hoping it doesn't, but I'm prepared for just about anything, believe me. So, Pennsylvania is still really, really close. Let's see. Okay, there's some reports coming out now that Pennsylvania mail-in ballots may hold the path to victory for John Fetterman. That's coming. That is coming. That's coming out. It's been reported by a couple of different agencies. It states that there have been 1.4
shades of 2020.
1.4 million mail-in ballots throughout the day today. About 70% of all mail-in ballots were sent to registered Democrats across the state, a number that could benefit Senate candidate John Fetterman once all ballots are counted. and they're saying now that
Have you seen 20? Have you seen 20 Mules?
Have I seen what?
20 Mules.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
It's a video about the 2020 election that was done by Dinesh D'Souza.
No.
And
no.
you need to look it up and watch it.
Terry, you know me. I don't watch movies.
No. I don't mean a movie like a movie.
Okay.
I'm talking about a documentary.
Okay.
I'm talking about documentary.
I might watch that. But unlike you, by the way, for you people that don't know this, Terry is an actor. I almost said was again, Terry. Terry's an actor. He loves movies, and I absolutely could care less about a movie. I mean, if you were to ask me what the last movie was I saw, I would say, I don't know. I don't even think Chandler remembers what the last movie it was I saw. I don't remember. The Mercy Me group. I can only imagine. That's it. That's the last.
Okay.
That's the last movie I saw. Okay, and that was what maybe 5 years ago. And then prior to that, E.T. Okay, so I mean, you can see I could care less about movies. I don't watch them. I just
let me back up a minute and again emphasize this is not a movie.
Okay.
I said that because I was relaxed. It's a documentary.
Okay, I got
it's
you.
proven to be true, and it's all about the stuffing of the vote-in mail-in boxes, and they had videotape on it. They had all kinds of proof and everything else. And this was that famous 2020 election that people accept. Okay, and I'm getting stirred. I told you I don't want to.
Well, I'm not really all that worried yet about it, but we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes because I think the Republican Party did a really good job this year of getting out ahead of everything, getting out early. They were actually filing lawsuits in a lot of areas even before the election started because of to prevent different things from happening.
Yeah.
This isn't anything new. The Democrats have done it before too. It's just that up until the last election, the Republicans didn't put much stock into that stuff, and I think they semi-learned a lesson there. So anyway, we'll see how it goes. Yeah, we shall see. Yeah, we'll see how it turns out here. Still waiting on more confirmations. Really thought Texas would be in by now because I mean it's hard for me to believe that they haven't called this yet from the numbers that I'm seeing, but I can't find anybody that's called it yet. So anyway. I'm not seeing anything new right now, Terry. It's just not there. Mm-hmm. So
sounds like politics to me.
Yeah.
you never see anything new.
Well, okay. This may be a perfect time for me to do this. I mentioned this on the Saturday show. I worked in the airlines for many, many, many years. And I was stationed in Tyler, Texas in 1988. And that was a election year for George H.W. Bush. And he was coming to Tyler to give a campaign speech. I was still a Democrat, by the way. But I was in management, and
what year was this?
1988. And,
okay, go ahead.
Or 88 or 92. I think it was 88. I'm pretty, it was 88. So anyway, I was called to a meeting because Air Force One was due to land at Tyler Pounds Field, and the president would be getting off and back on Air Force One, and he was going to go to a campaign event in downtown Tyler and then come back. So they called a meeting of all of us, and we went into this conference room. Everybody, all the managers, different airlines, anybody that had anything to do, anybody that had any kind of, real management position was there. Mm-hmm. And a guy came in and he was telling us, here's the agenda. This is the travel schedule. And you are not to share this, not even with your spouse. This is classified information, and you can basically go to jail if you let this go out. You don't discuss it with anybody. We have this is security. This is safety of a United States president. So we're sitting there and we're listening to this and how it's going to go and what's going to happen and all this. And there was the door opened behind us, and there was a guy that walked in, and the guy that was giving the presentation, the head of the Secret Service detail that was giving the presentation, he didn't blink when this guy walked in. And this door had been secured, okay? I mean, we were like locked up. Again, it was safety, right? He didn't blink when this guy walked in. And this guy walked around behind us, okay? He went all the way around the table twice. He stopped and he looked at each one of us from the other side of the table. Not, in other words, if he was behind me, he was looking across the table at the guy across the table from me. And then when he was over on the other side, behind that guy, he was looking at me, okay? And I mean, he was looking a hole through us, hard. I mean, really, really hard. Didn't say a word, and the guy that was giving the presentation just kept giving it like nothing's happening, okay? And so the guy walks out the door, closes the door, and at this point we say, somebody anyway, said, okay, so who was that? I mean, that's a legit question. And he said, oh, well, that's our sniper. He's going to be up in the tower, observing everything that's going on the ground, and observing anything that could be a threat to the president, right? And a couple of us said the same thing. Does he need to look again? I mean, would he like to come back in and could we show him our driver's license or anything like that? We want to be safe. Bye, Chandler. Chandler,
did you see me signaling?
Yeah, Chandler's photobombing me back here in the back. He's finished his job, and the only thing he didn't do was turn it off.
I didn't know.
There we go. Okay, so he's done, and now you can go now, Chandler.
I'm trying.
Go. What? You're stuck. Okay, let me move my chair forward. I understand. Okay, now he can leave. All right. Anyway, we were very interested at that point. We understood why he was taking a look at us then. But the story gets better. Okay, the story gets a lot better, and I'm going to wait until after 8 o'clock to tell you it, because it's a little bit more detailed and kind of scary. It's kind of scary and it's kind of funny all at the same time. Okay. In other words, it was scary at the time and it's funny now. Okay, I guess that's the way to say it. Okay, so I'll wait on that until after the top of the hour. But back to this, I'm just I keep flipping back and forth from different agencies, and I mean nobody's wanting to call anything. I don't know if they're scared. I don't know if they've learned a lesson from previous stuff or what, but everybody seems to be a little bit shy, and I think it's because of calling elections too quickly in the past and getting burned, literally burned.
The whole country got burned.
Yeah,
and it's still burning.
Yeah, on more than one occasion. Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm still waiting. I'm waiting along with everybody else. I mean, I know Governor DeWine won re-election in Ohio. It took quite a while for more than one agency to call that, but I've been looking at it for a long time, and I thought it was pretty easy. But again, I wasn't going to call anything until I got more confirmation, and I think that's important. You shouldn't just run with something just because one particular organization calls it. You got to wait. All right, we have to step aside here for just about 3 seconds.
KRRB
DB.
Canton, Mineola, Texas.
All right. I have to do station identification because we are a real radio station. All right. Oh.
And here I am.
And here I am. Okay. No, I'm still looking at this. Anyway, I'll finish my story while I'm waiting on some of these updates to take place because I think some of them will probably do it. Okay. In Tyler, the airline that I worked for was responsible for doing the weather reports. Now, what that, for people out there who probably don't care, but it really does matter, okay? I mean, where do you think you get your weather from? You get it from these places like my airline in Tyler, Texas, that was responsible for getting the weather for you. And so we sent up a weather balloon 3 times a day, early in the morning, right around early afternoon, and then again in the evening. And so we had received a bad supply of weather balloons. Now, these weather balloons were bad because on inflation, they tended to pop. Okay, so in other words, you try to fill up one of these balloons and then it would blow. And I was looking at the agenda for the President of the United States and comparing that to the time that we have to send up our weather report. We have to send up our weather balloon, right? And they coincide. So I've got the possibility of the President of the United States coming off Air Force One and a weather balloon blowing up with a huge pop. Okay? Now, so I go to the head of the Secret Service, who I had gotten to know over the past couple of days. And I said, okay, here's the deal. This is what's happening, and we're about to send one up now. Why don't you come with me, and I'll try to explain to you what's going on. And so we walked outside, and sure enough, this thing goes up. There it goes. Okay, we got a pop. Okay, so I'm saying, now looking at your schedule, I said, how is the president usually on schedule? I mean, like, some presidents are like late, notoriously late. No, Bush is on time. Bush is on time. He was in the Army or whatever, Navy, what? Yeah, I mean, he's going to be on time. Okay. Well, that's the same time as my balloon goes up, right? So I said, okay, so can you tell me how to handle this? Because just give me an idea. And he said, well, you need to call the White House. And I said, I need to do what? He said, yeah, here's the number. You need to call the White House, and you need to let them know what's going on and let them tell you what you need to do. And so I called the White House, and I tried to explain the situation to them. They told me to get the guy from the Secret Service to come over there. He told them the same thing I had, that this balloon could very possibly pop, okay, and that there might be a possibility that these guys with those big AK-47s and those vans might come out shooting. And Anyway, after
there's this guy on the phone, he's from Texas, and he says the balloon is going up.
Oh man! So you can imagine what was going through my mind, and I watched them. He said, all right, well, I'm gonna warn them, just tell them, if it blows up or whatever, just put their hands up. It's like, okay. And so I've got to go to my ramp guys, and all they do for a living is load people's baggage on airplanes. That's their job, okay? And other than that, the only other thing that they do is they fly this weather balloon. And so I walked over to them and I said, okay, look, if you see Air Force One on the ground and this weather balloon goes up and it pops, raise your hands. And they said, why? And I said, because they might think that you're shooting at the President of the United States. And I cannot use the language that they use. Okay? I can't do that. But it was basically find somebody else. Can we not skip the weather report this hour or something? So anyway, at the end of it, the weather balloon actually went up about a minute, or I should say the weather balloon blew up about a minute before the president landed, and so they were still trying to get a second balloon together before he came in and went off to his limousine. I was in a position to take a picture of him, and I had my camera, and because of my position, I was up there in the front, the front lines, like 5 feet away from him, and forgot to turn my flash off. And when I hit the camera, the flash bulb went, and the Secret Service guy looked at me and said, "No flash." I'm like, sorry about that. So anyway, all right. Well, I was hoping I'd killed enough time to where something might have happened, but unfortunately that is not the case. I'm still waiting on some big results to come out. Now, Senator Scott won in South Carolina. I mean, he was a blowout. He won, I think, within 2 minutes at a time. And finally, we got a call. Finally, Bozo lost.
Oh, no. Listen, you're going to have to give me a minute to compose myself. I mean, listen.
All right, so we can now project that Governor Greg Abbott has been reelected as the governor of the great state of Texas, and Beto can go and he can figure out what else he wants to run and lose. He ran against Cruz and he lost. Ran against Biden and lost, and he has run against Greg Abbott.
Now that would hurt. That would hurt. If anybody gets that story, I'm amazed it hasn't been blasted all over the country. Beto lost to Biden. Come on. Is there no justice? I mean, this is.
Okay. Well, at least we get to have a little fun with this, right? Because
that's right. That's right. I'm enjoying it.
Anyway, I'm sorry. I just don't have any respect for Beto, and that's the reason I keep calling him Bozo, because I just don't have any respect for him.
You do not need to apologize for that. If you had some kind of that guy down the street, I've got to knock on his door and see if I can get him to apologize for voting for Beto.
Oh boy. Okay. Well, I am digging. I'm comparing a couple of different sites here in different sources, and I'm just, there's just nothing major stepping out. Right now, Ryan still has like a 2-point lead over Vance. And, but I mean,
it's narrowed. It's
narrowed. I mean,
anyway.
all this stuff is really, really, really close. And then, I'm, of course,
how's Zeldin doing?
Let me see. I'm going to have to do some serious digging on that one, Terry. Because it's not that it's hard for me to find. It's hard for me to find two that say the same thing. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, right now, he is behind. Right now, but
how far behind?
Well, again, see, that's where I run into my issue, because I've got different reporting on that stuff, and so it makes it really tough for me to be able to give you something good. I'm trying to keep up also with the balance of power here and everything else, and I may need just a couple of minutes to kind of regroup, because when I was telling that story, I wasn't digging the way I should have been digging, and so I fell behind a little bit.
That was a good story, though.
Well,
that was a good story.
I haven't relived that in many years, but at the time.
I'm just picturing this operator at the White House saying, "I've got a guy from Texas on the phone, and he says the balloon is going up."
I mean, they were very matter of fact about it. I can tell you that they were, were very. They wanted some details that I tried to give them. How far away it is, and what time is it going to happen, and
and it's going to pop.
and believe me, when that thing went off, I mean, it sounded like a howitzer. I mean, it was loud. It didn't, this wasn't any play balloon. This isn't one of those little bitty things. Okay, this is a big balloon.
Eddie said that he's got a howitzer, and it's going off when the president lands.
That was basically what I was having to report. Yes, anyway, that is my one and only call to the White House. I have never. But I mean, I was given a number. I was given a very specific number to call.
He says some guy in the FBI gave him the number. He said he just handed it to him.
So you can see it was quite interesting.
Oh, that's great. That is great.
Anyway, I can also tell you though that the Secret Service was really cool, because now again this was 1988. Okay, this was before a whole bunch of stuff, right? But after that happened and Bush got in the limo and before, no, it was after. When he came back and got I have to back up again. When he left, the Secret Service came over and they gave us the opportunity. We were able to get on Air Force One. He walked us up the steps onto Air Force One. Now there wasn't, I'm not saying we got to go into any top secret areas or anything like that. It was just kind of like, here it is, look, from right here, under Secret Service observation, take a look, and all that. And then later, when he came back and got off the car, out of the car, and got back in the plane, took off, the car was still there. He then let us go over and get in. We actually got into the presidential limousine. You know, so you got the seal of the President of the United States on both of those back seats, okay, and all that.
Yeah.
So, you know, all that was pretty cool. You know, so, you know, that was nice. And he gave me some matches that I lost that said, you know, White House. Yeah. No. Okay, that's enough. I'm done with that. Okay, I am so done with that. But you know that just shows you that what I dealt with at one time. That was a long time ago.
Oh,
okay.
Goodness.
I'm looking kind of forward to the western states coming in, Arizona and Nevada and all that, and you know there's just no movement yet. Most of that, as far as the Arizona thing, is because of the issues that they've got. Yeah, so we'll just have to see. I'm still waiting. See, Ron DeSantis, one in Florida, Phil Scott in Vermont, Governor Bill Lee in Tennessee. Let's see. Governor Sununu in New Hampshire. I already talked about Abbott. Not too much else going on.
Any change on Zeldin?
I haven't. No. They're just not. I can't get two sites to agree on it, and that's my problem. And like you know, as difficult as it is for me to sit here and say, you know, we're going to try to update you, I am not just going to tell you, well, I got one site that says that Zeldin just won, because I got another one that says that Holcomb just won. You know, so you know, I mean, I just can't. I can't say because there's such disagreement. You know.
Well, if that FBI agent was there, he'd tell the whole thing.
Secret Service. Yeah, I never dealt with. Yeah.
They're all the same to me.
Well, the one thing that I didn't know back then that I found out was that some Secret Service agents are plain clothes and some wear uniforms. I didn't know that until I had to deal with them. So, okay. I really wish I had something new to tell you, Terry, but I just don't. It's just nothing coming in yet.
We've hit the doldrums.
Yeah, unfortunately, you know, sometimes it's like that. I mean, to piece it together, and that's what I'm trying to do as you were talking there, is that it looks like the Democrat in New York, Hochul or whatever, is leading right now, but it's not decisive. You know, it's not anything where you're going to say, you know, that she's going to win. I mean, if she comes close, I mean, if he comes close, if Zeldin comes close, that's still a slap against, you know, New York. But
but this ain't horseshoes.
No,
you
it's
know,
not.
coming close.
No,
you know.
No.
Yeah, 2 days later, nobody's going to be able to remember his name.
Yeah.
You know, and the crime is going to go on. You know, she says there isn't any crime. You know, it just. Well, you see, she asked the question the other day. Why does he keep talking about crime?
Yeah, that was unbelievable. Yeah. Wow. I mean, everything is really tight. Really tight. Some of the other polls, I guess I don't think we ever mentioned them. As far as exit polling and that type of stuff, voters are saying by 75% that they don't think the United States government's working. 75% to 25% say that the government, isn't isn't working.
I wish I could say that was a headline.
Yeah.
But that's like an afterthought.
Yeah. It's crazy. Still, to me, the big story tonight is Dade County in Florida, because that was such a stronghold for the Democrats that if Dade County was to remain red, if this is not a one-off, then the state of Florida is red. Up until now, you kind of had to call it a purple state. It could go one way or the other, because Democratic Dade County was always, they were always in the Democrat pocket, and if they lost that, then Florida is no longer a purple state; it's deep red, and if it is, I have a brother that lives there that's going to be weeping from morning until night. Really? Oh well. Does he live in Miami?
He won't talk to me for the next 10 years.
Oh goodness! So, well, I got Democrats in my family too. So, okay. Still nothing, and more nothing is what I've got so far. So we're just going to have to give it a minute and see how things go. Now, for those of you that are tuning in for maybe the first time, usually Terry and I don't do this political thing. That's the reason we're not good at it, because we don't do this. That's not our calling. That's not the reason for our show. And I want to invite you guys that may be listening for the first time just because it's political to tune in on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Saturdays at 7:30 Central Time for the last Christian radio show. Because that's really our purpose. Our purpose is to try and lead someone to accept Jesus Christ as their Lord and Savior before the rapture of the church. I promised we weren't going to get into this, and we're not. We're going to keep it. We're going to keep this on political. But this is. I own Revelation Radio. I'm proud of it. It's a Christian radio station with a Christian message, and I'm not ashamed to say I'm a Christian. Terry's not ashamed to say he's a Christian. We both believe in the rapture of the church, something that we talk about all the time. We also take current events and we put those together with things that are foretold in the Bible. And we see everything coming together, and that's what the show is usually about. So I hope that you guys will tune in again on Thursday for a real edition. Go ahead.
Yeah, let me throw this in. People might say, well, if that's true, then what in the world are you doing this for? Because Jesus, one of the instructions that he left us with was to occupy until he comes. That means to be involved with the community, be involved with what's going on, and if you have been given a responsibility, which being born in America, a person is given upon birth the responsibility to have their say and to get involved in terms of giving their voice to whatever situation they support. That's why there's freedom of speech in America, so that we can all say our dues and just be open and honest and learn to get along with each other. You believe this, I believe that. That's just the way it is. And but we've got to be able, if we can't sit down and have discourse and talk about things, we're not going to. There's a whole lot of countries in the world that you can't do that. I can start with China and Russia and Venezuela, and those are all the communist countries, or the top ones anyway. Not all of them. But you can't do that in those countries. So that's why we're doing this. We're showing that we do have an interest in these things. We do have a support of these things, and we encourage everyone to get out and be involved,
right,
and give your 2 cents. You know?
Right. Well, we started off tonight. I said that one of the big things that the Democrat Party was talking about is this could be the last Democratic election. And then at the same time, they freak out because Elon Musk bought Twitter and let people speak freely again. I mean, you pick a side. Pick a side.
Showing their showing their true colors.
Yeah. They lose one social platform that Biden can't tell them what to say, and the world has just come to an end. That's basically what it's all about, and it's sad, but that's just true. I mean, it's just true. Nobody disliked Elon Musk 6 months ago. I don't even think most people even knew who he was. But ever since he decided he was going to buy Twitter and people found out he was conservative and all, it's heart attack time, and among socialists.
That water went down the wrong way. Mm-hmm. That's right.
Okay. Well, Terry, I don't have any more political stories to tell you. You've heard my best.
I don't.
You've heard my best stuff. Okay, and that's again. I got to go back to this because it's continuing, and that is Blake Masters, Kerry Lake, the RNC. They are suing Maricopa County in Arizona over issues with voting tabulation machines, and the lawsuit seeks to keep the polls open till 10, and I have received no full update yet that has been done. So still trying to get it verified. I would think that they will probably do that. I can't imagine a judge turning that down, but you never know. You just never know. All right, Governor Jared Polis, a Democrat, he is in Colorado. He has been reelected governor. Kim Reynolds, Republican in Iowa, reelected. We already talked about Pritzker in Illinois, Sarah Sanders in Arkansas, Ron DeSantis, Florida. So I'm just waiting on some new stuff to come in, and unlike those big networks that got all these fancy boards and like 16 different people that have practiced for 6 months on how to drag stuff out. Terry and I don't have all that technology, so we just have to sit here and wait for the real votes to come out. But that's what I'm late. That to me, that's more important than being fast. Is to be right. So I'm just waiting on real information, and as soon as I have real information, then that's exactly what I'm going to give you. So anyway, I'm trying to verify something with Maricopa County right now, and nothing, absolutely nothing. So I can tell you that there are 223 voting centers. That's not machines. That's 223 voting centers just in Maricopa County. Now, I mean, like where I live, there's one voting center, period. Just one. Okay, well, they got 223 of them, and if you got 20% of those machines down, I can see how that would be an issue. I mean, a big issue. And unfortunately, we're just not getting any. We're not getting any good updates from that.
Mm-hmm.
So
now, I just Googled it, and they're not telling us anything either. So
okay, yeah. I mean, it's been slow. The reporting is just. Well, I do want to mention, we've got one of our regular listeners out there, David. You know David, right?
Yeah.
Well,
hey David, how you doing?
Well, David checked in with us, and he said that he voted earlier today in Chicago. So I didn't.
Wow, he's up in Illinois.
Yeah, so he's one of your, you and him now. Not only is he one of your most loyal listeners, Terry, but you guys are from the same state. How's that?
Isn't that something? I didn't know that he was from Illinois.
I didn't either till today.
That never came up. So that's neat. That's neat.
Well, we're glad to have him. We are glad to have him. He normally checks in with you. Okay.
See, that's the Lord. That's the Lord doing that.
We still have Governor Hushel. I don't know how you say her name.
Yeah.
But the New York governor, she is still leading Lee Zeldin. But
is there a margin? Is there a margin?
There is not. There is not. There hasn't been any updates that I can share with you. I mean, they're there, but they're varied. And that's the reason that I haven't mentioned anything. Again, until I get something that is together, it's really something I want to stay away from. But I am trying to watch it. The information, all of it is they didn't think this would even be close. They thought this was a blowout, and well, it's obviously far from a blowout. So we got western states that are going to be coming into play here in just a few minutes. Polls closing in some of the western states. I think we're not going to stay up till 1 o'clock in the morning or for Hawaii or whatever, because Hawaii is blue. I don't expect there to be anything there. Alaska, I don't know what's going on with them anymore. So, anyway, we're just kicking right on along here, waiting on something to happen. And I keep looking for these really big races. The ones that are supposed to decide everything, and every single one of them is either they're counting slow or something. I don't know what's going on, but they're just not updating the way that they usually do. Very, very low percentages of votes coming in. I don't know if they're trying to make sure and verify everything and then dump, all at once or what. But let's see. Let's try. Here we go. Okay, may actually have something here. Hold on a minute. Yeah, I finally, I had one place that has been technically down since we started the show, and it's real reliable. In New York, there are only right at 15% reporting, and Hoschel has 69%, Zeldin has 31% right now.
Man,
but
of course that's low. So
that is again 14% reporting. So something's wrong there, because you've got these polls have been closed a long time. Okay. And,
Yeah.
To only be there is ridiculous. For instance, just to give you for instance, Chuck Schumer, he's got 71.81% in against his opponent. But again, 14% of the vote. And their polls closed quite a while ago.
Yeah.
So
See, it should be about 9:30 right now over there.
yeah, 9:35. You are correct.
Yeah.
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 And I'm just not seeing anything. I mean, it's just nothing for me to be able to report to you. They've got some weird stuff on the New York ballot. Did you know that?
How's that? What?
Well, okay. One of them is to adopt a racial equality office. In other words, they're going to establish an office of racial equality. It's a yes or no, and it looks like it's winning overwhelmingly. Something to do with measure the cost of living and adopt a statement of values and issue climate change bonds. They got all kinds of crazy stuff on the New York ballot. Maybe that's the reason it's taking them so long, because it's got all this stupid stuff they got to deal with. In the New York House of Representatives, it looks like it's a blowout for Democrats. But we know this. I mean, this isn't any shock. New York is a very, very, very blue district. Let's see if this site will stay up long enough for me to check through it. I will look at a few things here and see what we got. And let's see. The first one I wanted to look at Blumenthal, and it looks like he's won. He's got a huge lead. It's like 56% of the vote. So he's still in. I don't think that was ever really in question that he would have any problem. But he's one I would really love to see lose. I mean, that's on a personal level. A personal level.
Yeah.
Isn't he the guy? Isn't he the guy that claimed to go to Vietnam and never went? Might have been. I hate to say because I don't. Just the name rings a bell. And yeah. Okay. Okay. In Georgia, in the governor's race, we've got Kemp. He's got a 52 to 46% lead over. Great. Abrams. Wonderful. Abrams, yeah. Yeah, there's about 63% of the vote in there. So that's great. Pretty good. How's what's his name doing? Who? Down in the football player. Herschel. Herschel Walker. Yeah. Let me see. Let me check it 1 second. And I'll let you know. Sure enough, every time I try to do this, it always seems to mess it up. So, I'll get there in a minute. Whenever it lets me. Whenever it lets me, I'll get there. Let's see. So far, it's just not wanting to let me. No. Not yet, Terry. I can't tell you about Herschel yet. This thing is up. I think I really think what the deal is that everybody in America is using the internet right now, and it's crashing this site. That's what's happening. Yeah. So
What about Cruz? Can you get anything on Cruz?
Cruz isn't on the ballot.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
No, he's not on the ballot.
Okay.
We don't have we don't have a senator in play in Texas this year. Let me see if I can. This thing's it's up and down, sort of like a yo-yo at the moment. Mm-hmm. I can tell you that as far as the Senate goes, again, you need 51 to have the majority, and right now, there's 41 Democrats and 40 Republicans at the moment. Mm-hmm. With, of course, now that's going to change a lot. There's also 36 Democrats that are not facing election in the Senate, and there's 29 Republicans that are not facing election. So, because those are 6-year terms and they're varied. Mm-hmm. That's the reason for that. So I'm still trying to catch up with Herschel here, but I'm just not seeing anything, Terry. Like I said, the site keeps going up and down like a yo-yo, and that doesn't help me at all. And the only other thing I can do at that point is go and look at different, try to put different sources together instead of the one that puts them together for me, So it makes it a little bit more difficult, but I'm working on it. I'll get it, as it comes available. Believe me, I'll let you know. But everything is just really, really close. And one thing that is bothering me now about Arizona is that we got no reporting, zero reporting coming out in the race between Kelly and Masters. It's zero. So, just have to wait. Just got to wait. I don't know if we should blame this on Democrats. I don't think so. I think we really ought to blame this more on the individual states and the way that I think they're trying to be too careful, if that makes sense. They don't want things to get out of hand. I could be wrong.
It's a little late for that.
Yeah.
Closing the barn door after the cow is gone.
Well, I mean, you can't fix something in the past. And that's the reason I don't worry about the past, because I've got no control over that. Me and you can't vote in the 2020 election again. It's over. Yeah. That's over, and we got to forget.
No, the reason and you're absolutely right. The reason that I bring it up is simply because I say to myself, if it happened then, and nothing major took place between then and now, why is now going to be any different?
Oh well, they've made a lot of changes all over the country. For one thing.
Well,
a lot.
I know that's what I hear.
Okay, all right, hang on.
That's what I hear.
63% of the vote in Georgia, and Herschel Walker is at 49.12%, and Mr. Warnock is at 49.04%. So Herschel Walker has the lead. However,
he has to get what, 51?
50.1. To win outright.
50.1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think there was ever a doubt that he would be in a runoff, but he is within a whisker of winning it outright. Okay, that would be major.
What kind of? You said 63%.
63% of the vote is in. Yes.
Okay.
And
so he still has a chance to take the whole thing.
Oh yeah.
With that much left.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, he does. I'm trying to see if there's anything else here. I just don't see anything else. In the race for governor in Georgia, you've got Kemp with 53.4%. 25% to Stacey Abrams with 46.12%. So that looks like pretty much a done deal there. So not seeing any issues there. Up and down, just like a yo-yo here. When it works and it comes together, it works out good because it puts all these different sources together, it compiles all the numbers and spits them out, and it's that's what they sold me on, and it all worked great till today. So let's see here. Let me see something about North Dakota. Yeah, I'm still digging, Terry. I'm still digging. Like I said, every now and then it acts like it's going to start working again, and then it doesn't. So I just have to go with the flow. Wherever it wants to give me, then I'll take it, and we'll just keep it going. So I'm not seeing anything new. I'm not seeing anything new, sir. We're just going to have to kind of hang on there. I am agitated at Arizona because this is one race that I really wanted to see. I've got a pretty good idea, or at least I called it myself, that the Republicans were going to pick that state up. But now all of a sudden you've got all these machines breaking down, and so you've got nothing, absolutely nothing. There's no report with Kelly and Masters. There is no report with Hobbs and Lake. Nothing. I mean, not 1%. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. So we're just going to have to write it out and see what happens here and see how it goes. Looking at Virginia, this is one that I was interested in. Right now in the House of Representatives, it's broken down. There's 4 Democrats and 4 Republicans. No independents. But it's not really shifting the power. I mean, there's no power shift yet that I can really show you and tell you. No
real discernible progress.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I got since we started talking, the Democrats picked up another seat in the Senate. They're up to 42. The Republicans have 40. But it doesn't matter. I mean, at this point, it doesn't matter because there's too many races out there that are too close. It could, where it takes 51 to win. I mean, to 51 to take control, and neither one of them are close yet. Yeah, so it's tough to figure out exactly. Let's see. I'm just trying to go through here a little bit and see if there's any way to figure this out another way than what I had planned to do. And there's just not. I'm just sort of at a disadvantage here. And we just got to play along. You just got to go along with it until something else breaks. But gotta wait, Terry. Gotta wait. I mean, the Arizona hiccup. That's what they're calling this, the hiccup. I don't know. I don't know about hiccup, but that's what they're calling it. All right. So, what other races were you interested in that I might be able to pick up for you? If I can put them together.
Well, we've covered, or we're checking on just about all of them that I'm really interested in.
I have a very sad report to give you.
Oh, no, what?
Democrat Alexandria Ocasio.
Oh, no, don't say it. Don't say it, Joe.
Been reelected.
I can't believe that. Can you believe it? Oh, man. How dumb are those people in New York City? They must be all on. They've got to all be on drugs. They've got to be. It's insanity.
Well, she did win, and she is a member of what they call the squad. So one of the squad members has been reelected. So again, I told you it was sad news, Terry. You know, I don't.
Yes, you did. I'm glad I was sitting down.
I mean, I had an idea that she'd win. You know, I mean, that's a.
Did you really?
Yeah, I mean, you're talking about a very solid Democratic seat. You know, and you know the reason that she was elected is because she beat the incumbent Democrat, who I guess people just got tired of him, so they voted him out and made her the nominee. And you know, even when that happened, I mean, it was almost assumed that she was going to win. And yeah, I don't know how she does it, but she does it. They are calling the DeSantis win in Florida so big that he could now have a real opportunity to challenge former President Trump should both of them want to run for the presidency. And I'm holding my opinion on who I would prefer there for a couple of reasons. One, I don't think I ought to give it. Well, sure, yet, because I don't know much about DeSantis. I mean, not on very, very specific issues. Whereas I don't think it's hard for anybody to know exactly where Donald Trump stands on anything, because he's brutally honest and blunt. What
issue on DeSantis are you
uncertain? Any of them. Tell me where he stands on anything. I don't know.
He kept his state open.
Okay. How's that going to help me in 2024? You see what I'm saying? I have no idea.
As president, he can keep your state open.
Okay, but how's that help me in 2024? Because there might not be anything to fight. What's going to close my state in 2024? I'm not Nostradamus.
What closed your state, or what almost closed your state in 2020, 21?
COVID-19, but COVID-19 is not necessarily going to be around in 2024.
I don't know why it wouldn't be.
Well, I don't know why it would be.
So Fossey predicted.
Okay, hold on. Wait. But before we get our video banished, let's drop it on that. But what I'm saying is that I don't see how that 2020 has anything to do with 2024. I don't think. I don't see how any issue like a pandemic or something in 2022 would have anything to do with 2024.
Okay, let me ask you. Yeah. What issue is it? And I don't want to hear any of them. Specifically, what issue are you concerned with concerning DeSantis. By the way, while you're
I'll tell you. No, I don't have to think. I can tell you. I want to know what his stance is on Israel. I want to know what his stance is on Iran. I want to know what his stance is on North Korea. I want to know what his stance is on oil and natural gas drilling. I want to know what his stance is on fracking. I want to know what his stance is on coal. I want to know what he's going to do with the economy, how he's going to get that going again. I want to know what he's going to do with taxes. I want to know what he's going to do with my grandkids at their school, and what he doesn't do with the Department of Education. And that's just a short list. I know where President Trump stands on all of it, but I don't know where Ron DeSantis stands on it. I know he's a good governor. I know he's a good conservative, but I don't know specifically where he stands on the issues. So until I know where he stands on the issues specifically, I don't want to put him and Trump in the same deal. Okay, I don't know if where he stands is on religion, religious freedoms. I don't know where he stands on guns. There's a whole lot of stuff that I don't know specifically where he stands. And that's the reason that I said, I can't make a judgment yet as to which one I would support, but I've got a pretty good idea on where he stands on most of the issues. I'm just not certain. So based on that, I could vote for either one of them over the Democrat, because I know for sure where a Democratic presidential candidate is going to stand on the issues that are important to me. And I know exactly where a Democratic candidate is going to stand when it comes to God, where it comes to the Constitution. I know where a Democrat's going to stand, and I know that's completely opposite from everything that I believe, and I couldn't vote for one.
Yeah. All right. Okay. I can take that. My thought on it was, and I don't know if I think probably some people have kicked this around, but if Trump did run, if he would pick DeSantis as his VP.
Well, what you have to understand is you can pick anybody you want to. The question is, would DeSantis accept it? Because
no, absolutely,
because,
he might not.
Right, because it was described to me. I've heard this all my life, really, that being the vice president is like being a warm bucket of spit.
I understand what you're
the only thing.
What I'm thinking is, if we could establish his stance on these various issues, as you have so eloquently listed them, if we could do that and know that he was in the right stance for each one of those issues, then the first 4 years as vice president, he could be getting a run through on what's going on and so forth and so on, and step into the batter's box in 30 and go for it. And I don't know that, let's back up a minute. I don't know that we're going to be here. I wouldn't bet on it that we're going to be here in 30, but occupying until Jesus shouts.
Rapture aside here for a minute, the thing about the vice presidents, the track record of a vice president becoming president isn't good. I mean, you might think it is, but it's not. It's really there's more vice presidents that have run and lost than vice presidents that have run and won. That's just the way it is. And so I think DeSantis has his eyes on the presidency. I think he wants.
He may well have.
I think he wants to be president, and he may very well run to be president. President Trump, his approval, I mean, full disclosure, I'd vote for President Trump in a heartbeat. I would. But his approval numbers are going to make it a very, very, very tight election. And DeSantis might actually be the better choice for the Republican Party because he doesn't come with the baggage. And, he doesn't, he don't tweet, He knows how to play the game. He's a real politician. He knows how to play the game. Donald Trump's a rich man who said, I don't got to play the game. I can do this my way, however I want to do it, take it or leave it, and he doesn't care. DeSantis is more of a career politician. Hold on for just a second here.
KRRB DB, Grand Saline, Canton, Mineola, Texas.
Have to do that once an hour. That's a requirement. Okay. Anyway, he is a career politician, and he knows how to play the game, and he knows how to word things to where somebody's going to get offended no matter what, but to where the vast majority won't get offended, So, he might be the better choice. I just don't know.
But let me ask you something. Let me ask you something.
Sure.
On the offense part of it. Did Trump offend people, or did he offend the Uber media?
He offended people.
The ones, huh?
He offended people.
Well, look at the rallies that he had.
Yeah. Yeah, I know all about his rallies. But I also know that he's underwater when it comes to popularity. Now, right now he's beating Biden, but they're both in the high 30s. I mean, in other words, Trump's got great support.
But see, I don't.
Trump's got great support. He's got great support, and there's people like me and you that love him, and we would go, if he was to come out here to East Texas and be available somewhere where I could go and be at a rally, sure, I'd go. But I'm telling you that whether you want to believe it or not, the vast majority of Americans don't like him. They just don't like him. They vote for him, some do, they vote for him because of his policies that help them, but they get so hurt. Their little feelings get hurt because he just says it like it is. He doesn't sugarcoat anything, and it hurts their feelings, and they get offended, and they don't like that. They're so thin-skinned that they're not going to vote for him. He could say, I'm going to give everybody in here $1,000 tonight, right now, out of my pocket. Right now. But you have to admit that I'm smarter than you are. Okay. Well,
I can hear him saying that.
I can tell you right now, less than 50% of the people would show up and get the money because they'd be offended that they weren't smarter than Donald Trump.
Well, I have no argument with that. Yeah,
I mean, so I'm just saying that it might be, if Trump's the nominee, that's good. If DeSantis is the nominee, I'm assuming that's good. Like I said, I don't know enough about him right now to know what I need to know to be able to say that I could fully come out and support him. Okay. Still nothing out of Nevada, nothing out of Utah. These are just states that have just recently closed. And let's see, Colorado, and we talked about Colorado. They're I don't know. They used to be pretty even keeled, but I think they've kind of gone to the far left. Anyway,
kind of.
I think they're too high to know it.
That's right. Rocky Mountain High, buddy.
There you go. So Democratic Senator Michael Bennet will defeat his Republican challenger in the state of Colorado. That is neither a pickup nor a loss. He's already a senator. So, it doesn't, again, we're just not seeing anything there. Still waiting on Pennsylvania. No shock there. So it looks like, and now this one's hard to believe. I don't know if I buy this or not, but there's two sources on it. That the John Fetterman supporters are more enthusiastic about their candidate than the Dr. Oz supporters. I don't know that I buy that, but I
don't buy it.
But like I said,
I've seen both videos, and Oz wins hands down. In fact, you barely hear anything out of the people from Fetterman.
Well, he's got him beat by enthusiastic, whatever that means, 51 to 40%. Not close.
I'm sorry, Fetterman is 51%?
Yeah. So, yeah. It's hard to believe, I know, but
no, it's not hard to believe. I was at 20. I was at 2020. That's not hard to believe.
Well, now, that's just enthusiasm. That's not votes for. I mean, you can be that's not votes counted. That's just people. And we talked about it the other day, how, you can easily poll Democrats because, and this isn't me talking, this is somebody else. But the information that I saw, and I think it came from Real Clear Politics, if I'm not mistaken, was that it's really, really easy to get in touch with Democrats to get their poll information because they're not working. They're at home. They got nothing to do. But it's really, really difficult to get a Republican response because they are working and they don't have time. Yeah. They don't have time to take a poll. Again, now that's not. I'm not saying that to try and be pop a Democrat. Do something negative toward Democrat. I'm just repeating something I heard.
I've heard the same thing.
Yeah. Okay. So anyway, we'll just we'll keep going here. Looks like Senator Mike Lee in is it Utah? Yeah. Looks like he's pulling out. Got a good lead, and I don't doubt that. There's like 3 or 4 different of these places that I'm getting my information from, like 3 or 4 of them that are down right now. I mean, just totally down. And I think the reason for that is because this election means so much to the American people that everybody's online. Everybody's online all over the country trying to get any kind of information they can on their situation, on their state. And it's putting a lot of pressure on some of these sites, and so they're crashing. It's the best I can tell you. They're just crashing. So
we're taking up some of that space.
Yes, we are. I'm taking up a lot of it personally. I can tell you that. I'm not denying that at all. I'm just shocked that it's affecting so many everywhere. I'm still trying to get a read on Virginia, because Virginia is, I don't know, I'm seeing a lot of activity there that I can't confirm it to just come out and say, hey, Virginia's going red, but I mean it's still showing 4 and 4, for the House of Representatives. But if you look at some of these numbers, I mean, it hasn't been converted. I can't really speak to them yet. But I mean, there's a good possibility that Virginia's doing something tonight. We'll just have to wait and see. And then of course we've all just got to sit back and wait for what's going on in Pennsylvania, in New York, in Arizona. We hadn't even talked about Oregon or Washington yet. But I'm going to stick with what I said. When we first started off, keep your eye on New York. I don't care. It may be slow voting and all that kind of stuff, slow counting or whatever. But I'm telling you, everything that I saw over the past week or two, keep your eye on New York. You may be in for a surprise. It may not. The surprise may not be announced tonight, but I don't know. You might want to keep your eyes on it, because I think there could be some serious activity here. We'll just have to see. To recap, Texas again, Greg Abbott looks like about 54% of the vote, so pretty solid victory there. I'm surprised that Bozo got 45%, but that's sad. I think I think in a lot of cases that's people coming in from other states, moving into Texas and bringing their politics with them. And if that's the case, then people pack up and go back where you came from, please. Personal opinion expressed. So what else, Terry? What do you got?
Oh, I ain't got dirt.
All right. Well, I'm trying to figure this out here.
I knew it was going to be slow. I just didn't think it was going to be this slow.
Oh well, I had a feeling it would be. Okay, yeah. I'll give you some updates. Maybe wake you up a little bit. Okay. There are still 17 Senate seats left to be determined tonight. I told you last time that there were 42 Democrats and 40 Republicans. Mm-hmm. That's changed now from 42 Democrats and 41 Republicans. We still have plenty of room there. In the House of Representatives, this is why it's slow. It's because of the House of Representatives. There are 300 House seats left in play right now. 300. That's a bunch, And
yeah, it is.
That's going to take some time. What I'm hoping to see is some kind of indicator as to pickups and losses, and we got 36 Democrats that aren't even up for election in the Senate. We got 29 Republicans that aren't up for re-election in the Senate. Mm-hmm. Again, you got to have 51 seats, and both of them are roughly 10 seats away. So I mean, you're still looking at anything goes. In the House, you got 87 Republicans so far versus 48 Democrats. Now, what that tells me is that there's beginning to be a little bit of a wave, okay? Because the selection's been going on long enough now where a lot of these House races are beginning to be decided. And we haven't really focused on the House because I don't think most people even know who their own representative is. I'm just being honest, But, if the Republicans can pick up enough House seats to take control of the U.S. House of Representatives, and they put a major pop on our current president because they control the money. And they can shut things down real quick. And they have also hinted at, and I think it's more than a hint, impeaching Biden. And also...
oh, that it were so.
And also force him to take a cognizance test, which, I mean, it's not a joke.
He couldn't find the door to the room.
Yeah. Well, they're not kidding.
They lead him in.
They're not kidding about that.
Well, neither am I.
And that could be rough, because then you get the Constitution in play as to whether or not he's fit to serve, and oh boy,
he's already proven that he's not.
The scary thing, though, is that if we were to, if he was to resign, if he was to be impeached and convicted,
I know, you're right.
We get Kamala Harris.
What's
worse?
Chuckles.
What is worse? I mean, good grief. I've heard that there's a lot of, and this is coming from a vast number of sources, that there's going to be a pressure on President Biden after these midterms to announce that he's not going to run, and that they are actually going to let him know that they might have to remove him from office if he doesn't just step aside, or if he doesn't announce he won't run again. In other words, we'll help you get through your term, the rest of your term. We'll help you get through with that. Just make it clear that you're not going to run again, and we'll keep propping you up. But we can't prop you up for a year. We can't prop you up until 2024, only for you to run again. We can't do that. So if you don't want to just announce that you're out, then we may have to take steps to ensure you're out. And that's Democratic pressure. That's not coming from the Republicans. An offer
that he cannot refuse.
The Godfather. There you go. Yeah. It's kind of that way, and that's really kind of sad. It's really kind of sad. But he's struggling. He is struggling. Okay, in Ohio, finally got some coming up here. In Ohio, this is the Senate race there. J.D. Vance has a 54% lead over the incumbent, and that's important here, Tim Ryan, the Democrat, 54% to 45% with 69% of the vote in.
That's great.
So
that's great.
That's that great. One. Okay, assuming everybody holds their place or whatever. I told you before we started, it was 50-50. 50 Democrats, 50 Republicans. They only need one to go to 51 and take control. And J.D. Vance is up by several points. In Pennsylvania, John Fetterman, 51.67%. Oz has 45.97%. with 68.63% reporting. So.
Oh no.
Oh, I'm sorry. I take that back. Not that. I got the reporting. Okay. I got the reporting wrong. 46.37%. So not quite 50% of the vote in.
Okay.
All right. In Georgia, Herschel Walker, 49.26%. Raphael Warnock, 48.8%. Still really, really close. Again, if he could just, he's at 49 and a quarter. He's at 49 and a quarter.
What do they have left? How many? How much? What's the percentage?
67% in. Call it 68.
He could still take it.
Still do it, yeah. In Colorado, Michael Bennett is the winner there, the Democrat incumbent. Doesn't change.
They're
Doesn't
all
change
lighting doobies right now.
Yeah. In New Hampshire, Democrat is up 55 to 42. Again, that's a no change. It's just a hold for the Democrats. In North Carolina, Ted Budd is the Republican. He's got 50.89% to Sherry Beasley 47.04%.
Oh, good.
Still too close to call with 74% in. Marco Rubio is the winner in Florida.
Oh, that's
in
good. That's good.
Arizona, Mark Kelly, the incumbent, 56.42% to Blake Masters, the Republican, 41.27%.
Oh, man.
With 38% reporting. So
okay.
That's still pretty early there.
Still early. Yeah.
Wisconsin, Ron Johnson is the incumbent Republican. He's got 49.3% to where Mandela Barnes is the Democrat with 50.87% with 49.27 reporting.
Okay.
So still plenty of time on that one. Yeah. Nothing in yet with Nevada. Washington State, their polls are still open until 11 Eastern, so we're not going to be able to get a report on that. The same thing with Alaska. Let's see. Got house races. I've got house races coming in left and right now that are confirming out. But I mean, I could list them, but I don't think anybody's going to really know what it means. To be honest with you, I'll give you a for instance. In Indiana, Precinct 1 or District 1, Frank Myron, who's the incumbent, has 51.81% of the vote to Jennifer Ruth Green, the Republican, who has 48.19% with 75% reporting. So it's really, really close. That's a Democratic district, should be a blowout, and it's not. That's the reason I told you, people need to start looking at this kind of stuff. Virginia 2. The Republican is actually winning there, 54.96% to the incumbent, 45%, and that's with 79% reporting. It's looking pretty good there. So I mean, I could go through all these congressional races, but I don't think it would really mean much because people really don't understand them all that much. Unless it's your district, you really don't care. It just comes down to the balance of power. Georgia, in the governor's race, Bill Kemp, the incumbent, is at 54.16% to Stacey Abrams, 45%, and that's with 69% reporting. We already talked about Texas, 54% to 45%. Greg Abbott over Bozo. Kristi Noem, the governor in South Dakota, is a blowout winner tonight. She's got 63% of the vote There's like 21% reporting, but they've already called it. I mean, she's a blowout winner. In Michigan, Gretchen Whitmer, the incumbent, and as I'm doing this, the votes are really starting to fly. Okay. So Gretchen Whitmer is at 51.24%. Tudor Dixon, the Republican challenger, has got 47.21% with 21% reporting. So that's going to it's really tight, and it's a lot tighter than anybody would have wanted it to be if they were Republican or Democrat.
Yeah.
And,
I was going to correct you if you missed that one. So.
Yeah. Arizona, Katie Hobbs is up by about 10% with 39% reporting over Kerry Lake, but that's Arizona, and we know about the problems that they're having right there. New York, I cannot believe this New York thing. I mean, their polls closed so long ago. They've only got 32.79% of the votes tabulated, okay? And now, you know how many millions of people there are in New York? Okay, there's only 1,410,000 that have voted for Hochul, and only 821,000 that have voted for Lee Zeldin. So that, that shows you that the vote counts are just slow. I mean, that's the only way, the only way to say it. They're just slow. Arkansas, Sarah Sanders, we talked about her earlier. She did win, and she won big. There's 56% reporting right now, and she's got 60.67%. So she's got a really good lead there. Let's see. In Pennsylvania, this is, there's not it doesn't hold a balance of power in any way, shape, or form, and there's going to be a new governor no matter who wins. But right now, Josh Shapiro has a 56% to 42% lead over Douglas Mastriano, with about 50% of the vote in. So still a long way to go there. Ohio, Mike DeWine winning re-election, about 64% of the vote there. In Oklahoma, and this one was questionable going into tonight. It was questionable. And I don't know, maybe somebody out there can tell us about Kevin Stitt. He is the Republican governor in Oklahoma, and I know Oklahoma is conservative. But for whatever reason, this was a toss-up. I mean, the Democrat was running like right with him, and now with 90% of the vote in, the Republican governor Kevin Stitt has 56.23% of the vote. And Joy Hoffmeister, the Democrat, has 40.99. So it's still not a called race yet, but it's looking a lot better than it was before. See, in Maine, the Democrat governor, their incumbent, looks like that they're going to be okay, 52% to 45%. But again, there's only 30% reporting. Trying to just kind of scroll here while these are still adding up the right way for me for a change tonight to see if there's anything I can find. Nothing in Oregon yet or any of that. So while it's still working, let me go back up here and see if it'll tabulate in some more that weren't there the first time around. this is how I expected it to work. And maybe people are beginning to see whatever they need to see, and they're going on to something else because I'm getting them much better connections now. J.D. Vance in Ohio, with 70% of the vote in, is at 54-18 over Tim Ryan. So, that's a big one in Ohio.
Yeah.
And then in Pennsylvania, new updated numbers show, this is with 50% in, show Fetterman with 51% and Oz with 47%. So that's beginning to close. It's getting closer. So, and I expect that to continue. Again, the early votes are always going to be those mail-in votes. So, that I don't know. I'm not confident about that one because there's too many Democrats in too many high positions, and I'm not confident about that one. In Georgia, Herschel continues to get closer. 49.47% of the vote to Warnock's 48.58%. Remember, he's got to be at 50 point at least 01 in order to win outright.
Take it.
Yeah. So keep our eyes on that one. Again, the votes are beginning to come in now, so we'll have a little bit more here during the waning 30 minutes that we got going. Terry's on a curfew, so we're going to be shutting down here at 10 o'clock. But I was really hoping that we would have a balance of power report to give before we got off, and I mean, it's still right there. It's still the same. Democrats, 42 seats. Republicans, 41. Needing 51. And we're just waiting to see how it plays out. And, it's just nothing. I just can't get any updates worth a flip, where I can put them together. I absolutely, I could sit here and tell you what I think is going to happen, but that's what those guys on TV do, and I don't want to do that. I want to give you, I want to give you the facts. I want to give you the real data. And so until I have two sources to tell me the same thing, I will not give it to you. It's just the way I went into it like that, and I'm not going to change midstream. No matter what kind of struggles I got to go through here. I'm just not going to do it, okay? So
that's right. I'm with you.
All right. I'm trying to find one of these toss-up races, or, one of these races that really makes a huge difference. That, and really so far, the only one of those is Georgia. If Herschel could close this out, because he's at 49.48%, he's that close. And that's with 72% of the vote in. 72%. Okay, but if he could just close that one out, then that would, I think, begin to send some shockwaves. So we'll just have to wait and see. Mark Kelly still holding out against Blake Masters in Arizona, but it's only 40% of the vote. So it's just way too early for there to be anything. Tim Scott, South Carolina. I don't know if I mentioned him or not. He had a blowout.
We haven't talked about
blowout.
Yeah, you did. Early on, in fact, you mentioned him,
Yeah, blowout. He's 62%. I mean, when somebody gets into the 60s, I mean, that just doesn't happen, not anymore. So that's a blowout. See. Yeah, I mean, it's house races. All the house races are like razor thin. There's no way to, about the highest number you're going to see is 51% with, 90, maybe 90% in or something like that, where they're real, it's so close they can't call it yet. So, anyway, still scrolling through here, trying to put some more together. I'm trying to put in a couple of other names.
Yeah.
Click paste. Let's see if I can't force this thing to give me something, but it's just not happening. I really like the fact that J.D. Vance is winning there. I thought Tim Ryan was was he not the sitting senator? I mean, it doesn't show that he was. So that's kind of disappointing. I thought Tim Ryan was the senator in Ohio, and because that would, if he was, J.D. Vance would be a pickup. But I'm not showing that. Not showing that to be the case. Fetterman's lead is down to 50.84% to 46.79%, and that's with 54% of the vote in. So that's still tightening up. It's still tightening up, and hopefully we'll get some definitive answers here pretty quick. But I mean, everything is just really tight, Jerry. It's just really, really tight. Okay, so while we wait on that, I'll give it a couple of minutes. I do want to again get back, and I know this is a political show. I know this is all about the election of 2022. What I want people to understand that God chooses our leaders, whether or not you believe that or not. I guess I ought to back up. He doesn't choose our leaders; He lets us choose them. But He knows who the winner's going to be, and if He doesn't want that person is not going to win. Now that doesn't mean that you're going to get a good leader either. It doesn't mean that.
And it doesn't mean that if something happens that you can't voice your American opinion about what you think took place.
Right. Well, the point
you don't have to accept it,
The point I was trying to make is that, people will, I promise you, as soon as I say that somebody's going to say, so God chose Fidel Castro, God chose Adolf Hitler, God chose Kim Jong-un, or Vladimir Putin, or, you name it, okay? Well, I'm not saying God chose them. I'm not saying that. The people, whoever gets to make a choice, God knows who the leaders are going to be, and they have a purpose. It might not even be a good purpose, but they have a purpose. I'll give you an example, and I know I'm going to get a lot of flack on this one, but I don't care. Adolf Hitler. Okay, what was his purpose? His purpose was to inflict such misery, such horror, such evil on the Jews that when he was done and when he was defeated, that the entire world said, these people need a home. if the Holocaust had not occurred, would there be Israel today?
No. No.
My point being that the Bible said that this land, that the Jews would be returned from where they were scattered. They would all come back to Israel. And Israel was even so barren that nobody wanted it for centuries. Mm-hmm. It was a dust bowl. You know, imagine picking up your stuff and moving to out in the desert somewhere, setting up a house and saying, okay, you know, where do I start watering my yard? You know, it's not there. Mm-hmm. But it sprang back to life. Israel came back to life. And then all the people came back. And the nation was reestablished exactly the way the Bible said it was. So my point being, yes, every leader has a purpose, and not all of them have to be good ones. Okay? My belief, my personal belief, and again I emphasize that personal belief, is that Donald Trump was made president of the United States to move the embassy of the United States of America from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, and for the United States of America to recognize the capital of Israel as Jerusalem. A lot of people promised to do it, including Ronald Reagan. Ronald Reagan promised it. Barack Obama promised it. Jimmy Carter promised it. You know, Bush promised it. Everybody promised it, but nobody did it. Okay, well, Donald Trump did it.
That's right.
Okay. Now, again, my personal opinion, Joe Biden is president of the United States to put America into such a weak position that it will be unable to help Israel when Israel is attacked by Russia and a coalition of nations, as foretold in the book of Ezekiel, chapters 38 and 39, and will not be able to do anything to stop Damascus, Syria, from being completely annihilated and uninhabitable, as was prophesied in the book of Isaiah, chapter 1. Okay?
17:1.
17:1. Thank you. So,
yeah, that's right.
Every leader has a purpose. They don't all have to be good ones. That's my point. Okay. All right, Terry, I'll let you respond to any of that you want to. Well, I'll take one more look at this as we get down toward the end of our first experience of trying to cover an election of the United States of America.
I'm going to have to throw this in. It's too much fun to resist it. People talk about the elections and all of that. There's a phrase that is used throughout the New Testament. Jesus uses it on many occasions, speaking about God's elect, E-L-E-C-T. And my first pastor used to joke and say, well, if somebody's been elected, who voted? And of course, it was God that voted. And I'm not going to go into the theology of that. We don't have time, and it's just way too deep. I just want to make the point that God is the one that elects. That Daniel talks about God's choosing leaders in chapter 2, verse 21, I believe it is, where he talks about God puts one down and puts up another, and he even sets in place evil kings for a certain time and a certain reason. Right. Now, that doesn't mean that as humans we have to like it. Right. David did some complaining. If you'll go to the book of Psalms, when he would talk to God, when things would shred him, and he would go to God and, well, what about this? You know, but God said David was a man after his own heart. Even though, and that's another thing God commended throughout the scriptures. There were certain people, Moses is a good example, who would stand up to God and say, well, what about this? And rah, you know, and God said he loved him. He loved him. He loves honesty. He loves truthfulness. the Bible says he loves truthfulness in the inward parts. And so that's why we love America as it was founded, because we encourage people to speak their minds, what they think, and you don't have to like it.
Yeah.
You know, that's part of being, and you don't worry about being hurt and, oh, I've got my feelings hurt and I need a safe place and I'm going to go somewhere and wrap up in a blanket with my thumb, you know. So anyway, I'll leave it there.
Well, we were hoping that we'd have the normal speed of an election count tonight. We should have known it wasn't going to happen. But that was the hope, and I'm not going to give up on this because I know not all elections are going to be like this one.
Yeah,
there's a lot of. I'm not going to say it's foul play. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to look at it from the perspective of just maybe people are trying to do the right thing. I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt. Maybe people are trying to do the right thing and try to count this stuff a little bit slower, be a little bit more thorough, and be fair. Maybe I'm wrong. Okay, and if so, that'll come out in the next few days, trust me. But I believe it's important that no matter what happens here, no matter whether your candidate wins, and I'm speaking to everybody out there, not Terry.
That's right.
Whether or not your candidate wins or not, accept it. Just accept it. Okay? Because you can sit there and you can jump up and down and you can stamp your foot and you can go, oh, the world is crashing, and then tell me what good it's going to do. Absolutely nothing. Okay? So if just accept the result, and if you don't like the result, do something about it. Actually do something about it. Find a candidate that will win. Support a candidate. Give to them if you can. Campaign for them if you can. Do whatever. Accept this result. Move forward to the next one, because I promise you, after the 2022 election, there's going to be, God willing, a 2024 and a 2026 and a 2028 and a 2030. We have no idea how many. I mean, this could be the last one, Terry. This could be the very last election that we ever deal with. But it's it's just as reasonable to assume that you're going to have one in 2024. So accept the result, move on, deal with it, and don't cry about it. And I'm saying that not only to Democrats but to Republicans and even to independents. Just deal with it, because I promise you, it didn't surprise God one lick. I promise you that nothing that happens tonight surprises God at all. He's sitting up there now. He already knows what the results are. He already knows what the purpose for it was. He already knows all of that, which brings us to again say that the entire purpose of our broadcast, each and every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday night at 7:30 p.m. Central Time on a vast, huge number of. I don't like to brag about it, Terry, and you know that. I try to tamp it down. Okay, but we are on a lot of platforms, and we're on a lot of stations, and we're broadcast to a lot of places, all 50 states, over 160 countries, all around the world. Okay. We have thousands of people that listen to us every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday at 7:30 p.m. Central Time. Okay? And,
also on Sunday nights.
And Sunday night and Wednesday night, but those are individual shows. Okay? Those are individual shows. This has a purpose. Which is to try and find that last individual, that last person, and get to them, hopefully, somebody that listens to us. It would bring I can't tell you how happy I would be to have Jesus tell me, the person that, when we had the rapture thing, he heard your broadcast. I mean, I'm being funny. That'll never happen.
Yeah.
But
you don't know, that could happen. It could happen.
But we are looking for that last individual that has not accepted Jesus yet to simply say that prayer of salvation, to say, Lord, I know I am a sinner. I know, and I ask for your forgiveness. Please forgive me of my sins. I know Jesus Christ died for me. I know he spent 3 days in the tomb. I know he rose after that third day, just like he told us he would. I know he was seen by more than 500 people. I know he ascended to heaven. I know he sits at your right hand. And I know that he promised us that he's coming back for his church before God unleashes the greatest wrath in the history of time on this earth for a hellacious 7 years known as the Great Tribulation. And just like there is a last play in a football game, there is that last individual to accept Jesus Christ before that rapture occurs. And you don't want to be the one after that gets saved, because you've got to go through the tribulation. You want to be the one that says, in Jesus' name, and you see Jesus Christ right in your face, along with all of us, living and dead, who have already accepted him as their Lord and Savior. That's the purpose of the show.
Amen.
So I want you guys to please remember that, and please join us here at 7:30 p.m. Central Time every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. I don't care what platform you listen to it on. I would love for you to listen to it on Revelation Radio, because I own that. Okay? But if you want to watch it on YouTube, watch it on YouTube. If you want to listen to it on another one of the radio stations that takes the show, including the number one in the world, by the way. I'll go ahead and give them a plug. I don't mind. They gave us a break. I'll give them one. Number one Christian radio station, digital radio station in the world for Christian broadcasting is called Evangelism Radio, and I am proud to be on that. Our radio station is covered on it. Okay, I'm hoping Revelation Radio gets there one of these days. But I don't care what platform you listen to. I want you to hear the message. And I want you to please, if you haven't already, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like it, comment on the videos, share them, hit the little bell to where you're notified every time we post something. Watch Terry's show on Sundays, okay? Yeah. But get the message of Jesus Christ out there. Share it with your friends. That's what this is all about. I am hopeful that we reach that last individual, because, this world is spiraling out of control. And if the rapture doesn't happen soon, then even though we won't be going through the tribulation, to us it'll be the tribulation. I mean, if all of a sudden some kind of EMP goes off and we don't have an electricity anymore and the rapture hadn't happened yet, well, that's going to be pretty much a tribulation to me. Okay? That's going to be pretty rough. Yeah, imagine yourself without any electricity, any water, any groceries. Okay? Imagine that, because just one little EMP can do that. Think about that. And if you don't know what an EMP is, that's E as in Edward, M as in military, and P as in pulse. Look it up. See what kind of damage it'll do. And let me tell you something. The government's worried about it. They're just too stupid to do anything about it. Okay. All right, Terry, we went way over the top there, and I apologize for that. Sort of. Sort of. But not really, because I want to get the whole purpose of the show. The whole purpose of the show is to get people to recognize that they need to make a decision to accept Jesus Christ, their Lord and Savior. And I'm not shy about saying it. I'm just not. The elections are only going to cover a couple of years, 4 years at the most, at a crack. We're talking about eternity. Right. And that's why it's so much more important. And this is the time,
I want you to vote. I want you to be involved. I want you to occupy until Jesus comes. But we both want you to know Jesus, that you can become our brother, our sister in the Lord, that we may see each other in eternity and forever. That's what it's all about. Yeah. And and it's real easy. When people start talking about how bad things are going to get and talking about how bad hell is, and they'll be screaming and hollering, and then somebody will turn to me and say, well, what about that? And I'll say, well, yeah, it's true. It's just that they didn't go far enough. Right. Because it's a whole lot worse than anything any of us can describe. Right. And you know that. Well, that's why a lot of people don't like to read the Bible, because it opens it up.
Scares them.
It's into God. God doesn't hold any punches back. No. And Jesus himself said, don't be afraid of him that can destroy your body. Right. He said, be afraid instead of him who can destroy both your body and your soul in hell. And you say, well, who is that? Jesus said he has been given the keys to death and hell. So if somebody dies, Jesus turned the key. If somebody goes to hell, Jesus is the one that put him in there. Right. And he's the one who puts us in heaven because we trust in him and believe in him. That's how real Jesus is.
Amen. All right, quick update in Pennsylvania. After going through all of that, then we come back to this, right?
Yeah.
Quick update in Pennsylvania. Fetterman still in the lead. However, he's now under 50%. It's at 49.77% to Dr. Oz with 47.86%. So it's really starting to tighten up there. And that is with 62% of the vote in. So there's still a long way to go there. And, I think it's pretty obvious now that, things are just going really slow. They are. It's just the way it is. And I'm hoping that this is because people want to get it right. I really am. Like I said, I'm going to give everybody the benefit of the doubt tonight for all this because, for many years, and I know that you know this as well as I do, for many years, the polls have closed, 7 o'clock, and the winner is.
That's
7,
right.
8 o'clock, and the winner is. Okay, another political story, I said I didn't have one, but I do. It's, Jimmy Carter, 1980. Didn't like him, was running against Ronald Reagan, didn't like him either because he was Republican and I was still a Democrat at the time. But I had campaigned my butt off for Jimmy Carter. I had even met Chip Carter, his son. I had driven him around. I had driven him around in my car, taking him to different events, okay? That's how much it was in. Okay, so I had worked my butt off for him. I had worked up at the polls from 7 o'clock in the morning until 7 o'clock in the night. I had carried the stuff over, everything ready to go. No, I wasn't a precinct chairman yet. I had gone to the polls and come back home. 1980. 7 o'clock hits. What happens at 7 o'clock? At 7 o'clock, we project Ronald Reagan has just been elected as President of the United States. You remember back then, polls didn't have to close yet in California and all them other places. They could do it really early. Okay, this was like 7:01. It was over. Yeah. Okay, I was ticked. I was ticked off. Let me tell you. All right. So, anyway, update on the Senate standing or the balance of power. Again, things are beginning maybe to come together here. We got 43 Democrats versus 43 Republicans. So we're it's just it's tightening. Yeah, it's tightening up, and of course it's got to start tightening up and getting interesting now because Terry's got a curfew. Okay, I'm just telling you. Okay, so
that's right.
Hey. For those of you that don't understand, no, I'm blessed to have Terry with me, and he's got to go. He honestly has got to get out of here at 10 o'clock, and I understand that, and I appreciate that, and we had talked about it a couple of days in advance. This is no surprise. So anyway, we had hoped to have a little bit more. Unfortunately, it didn't work out like that, and that's simply because of the way that this vote count has gone. But now, Thursday, we'll be able to recap all this, Terry. Now, we're not going to take 3 hours to do it, but we'll be able to recap this and put it into perspective and hopefully get things a little bit better than we've done tonight. And anyway, I appreciate everybody sticking with us. For the very first time that KRRB Revelation Radio has tried one of these, maybe we'll be better at it next time. Who knows? But Terry, thank you for joining me tonight. I really appreciate it. Your time.
Okay,
I really do.
Well, thank you for inviting me.
You better believe it. It's been a pleasure. For everybody, please do tune in this Thursday evening at 7:30 p.m. Central Time for another edition of The Last Christian Radio Show, no matter what platform you choose. And good Lord willing, Terry and I will join you then. Until then, everybody, good night and God bless you.
Thanks again for joining us today for the Last Christian Radio Show. And be sure to tune in every Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday right here on Revelation Radio. And don't forget to join us every Wednesday evening at 7:30 p.m. Central for the Last Christian Podcast. Now available on all major podcast platforms and at www.lastchristian.net. Until the trumpet sounds.